Story: Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet with US President Donald Trump today in just a short while to discuss the fragile Gaza truce plan and Iran's nuclear program. The meeting comes as Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian warns of full-scale war with the United States, Israel and Europe, stating that Tehran is facing unprecedented pressure. The meeting at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort aims to move forward with the second phase of the Gaza ceasefire, which involves disarming Hamas and demilitarizing the Gaza Strip. The meeting and Pezeshkian's statement highlight escalating tensions in the Middle East. The US and Israel are pushing for progress on the Gaza ceasefire, while Iran's warnings raise concerns about regional stability amid the failure of the first phase of the peace deal. We're getting those visuals in where Netanyahu has met Marco Rubio as well as Pete Hegseth, key members of Trump's cabinet, and that meeting with Donald Trump is set to kick off anytime soon. But on the aim of this entire meeting, on the agenda between Netanyahu and Trump, CNN's Paula Hancock gets us this report.
It is a political priority for President Trump that this ceasefire deal moves to phase two. As you've just pointed out there, it's also a humanitarian priority that there is the beginning of this reconstruction in Gaza as soon as possible. So as phase one is effectively over, with the exception of the remains of one Israeli hostage not having yet been returned to Israel, President Trump really wants to try and push the Israeli Prime Minister towards agreeing to this phase two. We may see more details today on this board of peace, which the US President has said that he will head up. We are waiting for more details on the governance of Gaza, with Palestinian technocrats expected to be involved with that as well. And then, of course, you have this international stabilization force. This is boots on the ground that are going to keep the peace in Gaza from a number of different countries. We are waiting to hear more specifics on that. But of course, many countries will not agree to put boots on the ground until many of these prior issues have been resolved, and that is the governance and, of course, the fact that Hamas has to be disarmed. This is why we have heard from Israeli officials that Prime Minister Netanyahu has been reticent to push forward to phase two, because he wants to see Hamas disarmed first before the Israeli military agrees to withdraw to different areas in Gaza Strip, so giving some of that land back. They do not want to do that to a Hamas who at this point appears to be filling the power vacuum and even trying to rearm. And of course, when you consider what the Israeli Prime Minister is looking at, he also wants to discuss Iran and Lebanon, believing that both are an increased threat to Israel than they were just a matter of months ago. But it will be interesting to see whether President Trump will entertain any discussion on those two issues, or whether his focus is going to be firmly on trying to push forward the process that he has created himself. He says that he has said that he is responsible for, that he has staked his credibility on the fact that this ceasefire will hold. But of course, we are seeing on both sides, Hamas and Israel, that the ceasefire has been violated on a number of occasions, but for the most part is holding.
And I'm joined by my colleague Siddhant Mishra on the broadcast. So Siddhant, clearly all hopes are there from the international community that there could be some movement on the peace deal. But as we saw in phase one, where there was a complete breakdown of the entire peace process in the Gaza Strip, even though Trump was taking that victory lap, it's unlikely that Israel will give those level of concessions. It seems that the pressure will only be on the Gaza Strip.
Well, that's right, Ayushman. In fact, largely, both sides have managed to maintain the ceasefire. There have definitely been clashes between the Israeli forces and the militant groups, but largely they have maintained the ceasefire positions. In fact, Israeli forces have also withdrawn, Ayushman, to the yellow line. Now it's time to put the second phase of the 20-point peace plan in place. Now, Ayushman, there are some few tangibles which we are looking at after this meeting. Perhaps those announcements could be made, or there could be a discussion on these key issues. One is the Board of Peace, so which will be headed by President Trump. So we could expect a discussion over that. Then the technocrats of Palestine who will be running Gaza Strip. The names will be decided. There will be discussion over the names because Israel has issues with some of the names already proposed. Those names are still not out in media, but Israel has issues with that. Then the third is the disarmament of Hamas. Now, how it's going to take place? Now, the proposal says that international stabilization force will be formed. There have been multiple proposals made to the United States by various countries for the troop contribution. Now, Israel again has reservations when it comes to countries like Turkey, Pakistan. So perhaps Israel will definitely be Prime Minister Netanyahu will definitely be raising those issues with the President Trump. But this is going to be the sixth meeting between the two leaders. In fact, when this 20-point peace plan was put in place, Ayushman, perhaps at that point also, the general opinion was that this was being forcefully done. The parties were not ready. But since President Trump wanted peace in West Asia, it was his bold promise. So U.S. allies, Israel, all agreed to the 20-point peace plan. Then, the hostages were released. Israeli forces were withdrawn to the yellow line. But as you rightly said, that there have been many violations of the ceasefire from both the sides. Israel still continues to bombard areas in Gaza, in Lebanon.
Right.
Then there have been some activities from the Gaza militants as well. Also, Ayushman, very last point. Now the focus of the United States would be to rebuild Gaza. Now, how it's going to take place? Who will be contributing? Who will be stepping up and will build Gaza? Now, UAE is the top contender. In fact, UAE's name has been doing the rounds. There has not been any confirmation from UAE yet. So how to bring these countries and to rebuild Gaza is perhaps going to be the task for President Trump, as he is chairing this board of peace. So that will also be coming up for the discussion.
Right. Thanks, Siddhant, for getting us that update. But clearly, at the end of the day, the plan looks good on paper, but can it really make a tangible outcome on the ground? Let's get a perspective from Israel. Igal Milka is joining us on the broadcast, Israeli activist. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. My first question is that clearly we saw phase one of the peace plan completely collapsed because Israel continued those security operations in the Gaza Strip. Now Trump wants to completely demilitarize Hamas. He wants to create a Middle Eastern Riviera. It's all good on paper, but the tangibles don't seem prudent on the ground, given the fact that Iran's also escalated the language concerning the Gaza Strip.
Well, good evening. First of all, we have to understand that Israel cannot continue to the reconstruction of Gaza Gaza cannot, before Gaza complete the first phase of the agreement and releasing all the Israeli hostages, they still held one Israeli hostage. One really is still a hostage by Hamas, and we cannot continue to the next phase. But looking on the meeting between Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump, we have to see the interest. We have to understand that Netanyahu is not coming to this meeting with empty hands. He comes to the President Trump with the gas agreement with Egypt and the energy agreement with Cyprus and Greece. Both are connected to the global trade axis from India to Europe, which is actually President Trump's big goal. So those two leaders have to work together. And I think that only on 2025, this is the sixth meeting between those two leaders. You have to understand, I don't remember any other leader that met President Trump 6 times in 1 year. So we really understand that the collaboration between those two is quite good, and those are really understand each other. So I believe they have a solution, and we will have to wait to see.
Right, but Mr. Malka, as you're pointing out, 6 meetings between the two leaders, nothing really has changed on the ground. Israel continues to target the Hamas leadership in the Gaza Strip. All these plans about having this temporary political order as well as peacekeeping forces, those are far away because the main aim is to secure the Gaza Strip. Even with this kind of a meeting, what do you hope to achieve? What could be the real tangible, given the fact that Netanyahu is also facing a lot of political pressure back home?
Okay, we have to remember that on the first meeting, we still had more than 100 hostages in Gaza, so things have changes. Still, Hamas wasn't disarmed, and they still have weapons aimed to Israel. So this is the main goal here. This is the main problem here, and the main goal is to disarm Hamas. I don't see any breakthrough till that happened. This is the major issue that we have, because if Israel allow to some international forces step into Gaza and the Israeli army will have to go back and Hamas will still have weapons, no one can assure that no missiles will come to Israel in the next month or in the next year. So I think this is the main issue here that President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu will have to solve.
Right. And how do you read this statement that's coming in from Iran of full-scale war, even making such a proclamation against the Western powers like Europe as well as the United States? Doesn't that complicate any peace effort on the ground?
Well, Iran stays Iran, as we are warning the world for years from the Iranian party that it's not only Israel problem. Iran is a problem of the whole Western world. The plan for nuclear weapon is not aimed only to Israel. Israel is in the front, and Israel getting all the missiles for the current phase. But the next phase will be Europe, and I don't know for more than that. But U.S. have to worry about it. I don't see any solution without any military step again.
Right, so there should be fresh military action against Iran as well as the pitch that's coming in from Israel. Igal Malka, thank you so much for giving us your perspective as we await those details of that crucial meeting between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu.